I, 25 female, have a best friend, Sarah, 26 female. Sarah's boyfriend, Adam, recently called me to discuss a surprise wedding. He wants me to distract Sarah the whole day and surprise her with the family and all our friends back home, and they get married in their backyard. I told him I wasn't sure this was what she wanted, knowing she would hate this, as she hates surprises, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings, as Sarah loves organizing and planning things. She's talked about getting married previously and wants a winter wedding. Sarah had recently confided in me about drifting from Adam and thinking about taking a break. I was quite shocked to hear Adam planning a wedding, a surprise one at that, in front of all our family and friends. I encouraged him to instead have a more intimate proposal as opposed to a surprise wedding, but Adam told me that I didn't know what Sarah wanted and that he knew her better. I told him to talk to her about what she wants at a wedding. Hopefully she would bring up her winter wedding or what she told me about her relationship with him. However, Adam insists on the surprise wedding and says he'll ask Sarah's sister to distract her that day instead. I told him I felt obligated to tell her, as I know she hates surprises, and I want her to feel prepared, not ambushed, at this event. He's calling me the idiot. I initially agreed to keep this plan a secret, but that was when I thought it was a private proposal, and even then asking him to discuss the future with her first. I don't want to cause drama in their relationship by telling Sarah, and I could be the idiot if I do. I would ask my boyfriend for advice, but he can't keep a secret and works with Adam. Edit. I feel obligated to tell her because if it was me, I would want to know. If it's something she does want, however, I can see how I would be the idiot. Also, as Adam has told me about it, so I feel if I stayed silent and she hated the surprise, and then she found out I knew the whole time, she would be upset. But maybe going against his wishes may be seen as meddling in their relationship and undermining his efforts to create a memorable moment for Sarah. For the love of all that's holy, tell her, you should never surprise marry someone. You're not the idiot, not even close. I mean, I kind of get the fun of a surprise wedding when it's family and friends you're surprising, but I've never understood this fad of surprising the person you're actually marrying. I would bet that Adam senses that Sarah's pulling away from him, and he's throwing a surprise wedding with everyone present to push her into the commitment. Either she succumbs to the pressure of a surprise wedding, or she has to have a very public breakup with everyone who's invited, unwillingly becoming a part of the whole process and wanting to know what's going on. Why doesn't she want to be with this great guy? It's a big red flag that everyone in the family and friends is going to go along with it, except for OP. Good for you, OP. Tell her, please. 100% he knows she's considering leaving, and his idea of fixing it is to peer pressure her into marrying him. Not just getting engaged, married on the spot. He's doing this to back her into a corner. The entire plan is for him. If it worked, he'd get to trap her. And if it doesn't work, he's the poor guy who got left at the altar by his heartless ex. I am so pumped for an update. I've witnessed a surprise proposal in front of a group of friends. The woman did not want or expect a proposal, but felt pressure to say yes. And that's understandable because you can always change your mind and return the ring. But a surprise wedding is a whole other deal. You can't say no later. By the end of the day, you've exchanged vows and signed a marriage license. At a minimum, you'd need to get an annulment. Do not allow your friend to be blindsided in this way. My son, Alan, 26, recently married Helen, 25 to 26 female. I love them both very much. It's relevant to mention that I dislike parties and large gatherings. I'm not sociable at all, and I just dislike them. So it was a downer when I heard that Alan and Helen would have a wedding with around 150 people. I told Alan ahead of time that I'd probably leave early and that I and the rest of the family would take 2 cars so they could stay if they wanted to. He looked like he didn't mind at the time. So at the wedding itself, after the ceremony, I told him I was glad and everything looked great, but I was going to go home. He asked if I was going to at least stay for the cake or for the food, but the food didn't look all that appetizing to me, so I told him I was just going to leave. He said, "All right, whatever, just go." I returned to my table to get my stuff. I told my wife, and she said she didn't feel comfortable driving back alone. The venue was very far from us, and the roads there were not great. I said she could come with me in that case, and after some hemming and hawing, she agreed, so we left. Then 2 days later, Alan's new wife bombarded me and my wife with messages that she was disgusted with us, saying horrible things about us, and insulting us as people and as parents. Really just sickening. I told her off and asked why she thought it was okay to talk to her in-laws like that, and she said that our leaving ruined the wedding for Alan and that he was very upset for the rest of the night. She continued to criticize us. I politely told her to leave us alone and called Alan to inform him that his wife had a temper that he should know about. When we talked about it, he basically started berating me too and said things like, "You always do this, and just leave me alone," before hanging up. I feel like I'm justified since I told him ahead of time that I wasn't going to stay. Am I the idiot here? Edit. Yes, there was a mother-son dance planned. Yes, he included me in the count for the food cost. Yes, I love him. No, this doesn't mean that I don't care about him. You are the idiot. You didn't even stay for the meal that they paid for? What a disgusting lack of love and respect from you as a parent. You also strong-armed your wife into leaving, so your son had no parents present at his reception. How you don't see that you're the idiot is a mystery to me. Yes, and now he's playing the victim card when the new daughter-in-law called him out. Why even bother going if you can't be there fully for your son on his wedding day? The fact that you left before the mother-son dance or the speeches speaks volumes, as does your comment about the food not being appetizing. Your son is fed up with you pulling this stunt every time he needs you. Leaving early doesn't mean not going to the reception at all. Man, his introversion is so bad that other introverts are calling him out on it. Sorry, OP, using introversion as a cop-out to escape your obligations. You need to see a doctor or a therapist and get some help. Because being at your child's wedding, if not estranged or stuck in non-communication land for being toxic, is an obligation. I get overwhelmed in crowded situations, but sometimes they're inevitable, like your son's wedding. When I knew one was coming up, I spoke with my therapist about a game plan. It was more or less me finding a quiet space I could retreat to, like outside the building or in a bathroom, and then rejoining the group when I could. You need therapy for this level of antisocial behavior, especially since you don't even seem to understand why you're in the wrong. My girlfriend, 28, and I, 29 male, are financially like oil and water. We've been dating for nearly 2 years, and she refuses to do any joint account, even though we live together, and just Venmo each other the money we need for rent and other stuff. She is very high and mighty about finances, and always advises me on how to improve mine. Now, I'm not good with finances, I'll admit. I'm in credit card debt and have a guilty pleasure of a secondhand BMW. And she does have her act together. Her student loans are paid off. She bought a house I just moved into, and she has savings. But she's expecting everyone to live like her. And I'm okay not having as much savings. I'm actually okay living on the edge a bit, but I know it bothers her a lot. She's very obnoxious with critiquing me for my car and the expensive payments. I don't care. Haha. I love my car and it's fine. It's expensive. She also points out all the money I'm now saving because she cooks. And so why don't I pay off my credit cards? I'm paying them off $500 a month at a time, but she nags me every time I go out. Hey, there's $60 you spent that could be going towards credit card payments. Or there's a video game purchase when you already have tons. So why don't you return it and pay off the credit card? She recently told me that she didn't want to go any further with our relationship until I paid off my student loans, credit card, and car. I was shocked because that could take years. She said she thought it would take 2 years, and started showing me calculations she's made, showing that if I stopped spending on anything enjoyable about life, I could pay it off. I told her she'll just have to take me with my debt or not at all, because it's ridiculous how perfect she expects me to be, and I don't mind the debt, so she shouldn't either. She got mad and said I'm okay with constantly being in credit card debt, shows that I'm not serious about being an adult, and she doesn't want to marry someone who brings her down and needs help. I was shocked, because she's never helped me apart from giving me slightly lower than normal rent when I moved in. You are the idiot for living in her house and eating her food, yet not cutting back on going out to save money and moving the relationship along. She's smart not to have a joint account with you. She'd be even smarter if she met someone she was more aligned with. Dude, you do realize that if she marries you, your debt is her debt. She's right. The two of you are not compatible regarding finances, and it's better to break it off now rather than drag it on. You don't need a secondhand BMW, even if you do like it. You can get it back when you can afford it. If I were her, I would leave too. Luckily, my partner and I have the same financial goals, which is key in a relationship. You're acting like a spoiled baby. Grow up. Yeah, I wonder why she refuses to do joint finances with you. Wait, I know. It's all in this story. You're an economic disaster, and she refuses to be dragged down with you. Good for her. She wants to invest in her future. She doesn't want to tie herself to a boat anchor. Right now, you're the financial boat anchor, and you're refusing to do anything about it. Credit card debt is expensive. You are completely crazy to voluntarily keep credit card debt. Do you understand what compound interest looks like? You're an idiot, and you are clearly fiscally irresponsible and not at all marriage material. My sister asked me if I wanted to buy a house together, as she wanted to own a property before marrying her fiancé. We often discussed it after graduating, and I still think it's a good idea for us to buy something together for multiple reasons, so I said yes. We looked at a few properties online just to get an idea about what we both liked, but we haven't done anything else besides discussing it. Her fiancé found out, and he was angry about it, so he called my husband and completely exaggerated the entire situation. I was going to tell my husband myself eventually, but he's upset with me because he had to find out from somebody else. We keep fighting over it, even though I don't think this is something worth fighting about, as I was always going to tell him before we got serious about buying anything, and he's the one who always says it would be good for me to have my own assets. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. I can't imagine not telling my partner about something like that. That's a huge purchase that will affect your credit score, debt, etc. Not to mention, why wouldn't you tell him? What step are you at in this process? You could just say, hey, my sister and I were discussing buying a house together as an investment property. Are you cool with me using some of our finances to buy it? Even if you don't share finances, from a financial standpoint, this has implications for your taxes. On a decent human being level, omitting info is lying. Right? I can't imagine not telling my husband I was buying a house, not just because it would affect him, but also on a normal relationship level. I tell my partner if I'm thinking of buying a new printer, not because I have to or because it's a major financial decision or anything, but because it would be weird to not talk to him about something that I'm thinking about. And I definitely put a bit of thought into which printer. Surely you're thinking about a house in greater depth than I thought about a printer. Yeah, do either of you respect your partners at all? These are big life decisions that you need to consult your spouse on before you get in any way serious about it. I don't know how you could think you're not the idiot here. As a side note, if I thought my wife was secretly buying a house, I might think she was planning on leaving me. I, 24 male, have a nephew, preschooler, that is usually tossed to me by my older sister, 27, or younger sister, whenever they decide to make plans. Not that I don't like spending time with my nephew, but they usually throw him on to me whenever I have plans, or I simply just don't want to deal with the screaming child. My younger sister, nearly adult, mostly watches my nephew as she gets paid for it. Still, every once in a while, when she makes plans to go out, she informs me last minute and leaves him at my place, so I have no choice but to watch him. Recently, it was my girlfriend's 22 birthday, and I wanted to celebrate by taking her out for a week at a beach and amusement park. I informed my family about this event ahead of time so that there would be no interruptions. On the day of our leaving, I got a call from my younger sister saying how she could no longer watch my nephew as she was going to have a sleepover with her boyfriend and a couple of friends, and that if we could, please watch him as she's unavailable to. I told my sister I would not watch him and informed her that I had made these plans and told them way ahead. She got extremely upset and called my older sister, who also, in return, called me extremely upset. And how dare I put a girl over my nephew? My girlfriend overheard the convo we had and felt so extremely bad that she offered to watch him and that we could bring him along. But I continued to put my foot down and informed him that if someone needed to watch him, my parents could. But in the end, I compromised and took him with us. Throughout the whole week, our vacation just didn't go well. I could tell my girlfriend wasn't enjoying herself as we both had to babysit my nephew, leaving us with no private time or relaxation, which made me feel way worse. After coming back, I informed both my sisters that since we had to bring him along, if they could pay us for all the extra costs we had to pay, including him, and they're refusing to, calling me an idiot and saying that I'm putting my girlfriend over my nephew. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but you need to grow a spine. What they're doing is not okay. You might love the kid, but it's not your kid, and it should not harm your life. It might come with angry people, but you must say no and stick with it. I also don't understand the logic of you're choosing a girl over your sisters and nephew, when the younger sister literally did the same thing by turning down nephew duties for a slumber party. It's not meant to be logical. It's meant to exploit a person's worst fears about themselves. OP, you aren't choosing a girl over your sister or nephew. You're choosing your own well-being and personal space over unpaid labor. It's incredibly manipulative that your sisters are implying that you're not prioritizing your family when you literally just took your nephew on a week-long vacation. Childcare is expensive for a reason. It's a lot of work, emotionally and physically. Your sisters clearly feel entitled to tell you how to spend your time and energy. It's best to nip that in the bud. What is the mother prioritizing over her son? Why does the paid sister get to prioritize her boyfriend over the nephew, and you can't, even though you're not getting paid? Two hypocrites here, and you need to stop acting like the doormat. My friend, say no. Mean it. You let yourself be pushed over by your sister, even to the point of letting them ruin your couple's vacation. You're not the child's parent. You are not responsible for the child. No is a full sentence. You need to use that phrase, and they owe you for ruining your vacation by dumping the kid on you.